This is the Olive WD-40 nymph. It's a excellent imitation for the Baetis nymphs, and I use it a lot right before a Baetis hatch will occur. Usually about 2 hours to 2 to 4 hours before a hatch occurs, the nymphs start to get active and they start moving around, and the trout are well aware of that. And I like this fly, for that reason. And it's been very effective. Usually on the Carmens from, say, mid-June on out, you get a lot of Baetis, which are the small blueing olives. And this seems to be a pattern that works well over the years. Okay, I already put the bead on the hook, and this is a curved. This one exactly is a 2457 Tiemco. It's the heavier curved scud hook. And as always, after you put the bead on, you get a nice thread base. This is like an olive thread. And I'm coming right around the curve there as well. The tail that I like to use is wood duck for the fibers because it has a lot of nice markings on it. You don't need a whole bunch of them, but a little clump of it is good. And the tail should be prominent. It should be able to be seen. If you make it too short, it's like, why even bothering? So I'll start at the bend and I'll wrap around the bend, which will give the tail fibers a downward projection when the fly is complete. Then I'll just come over that and cut off the excess. Now, on the original handout, I might not have put ribbing on it, but I have been using gold wire. God bless. Phil had a good suggestion that the gold wire gives the ribbing look to it, plus it gives it a little bit of sparkle, and since this fly is going under the water, the sink anyway, it gives it a little bit of added weight. I don't think a significant amount. Whenever I put wire on a fly for ribbing and there's a bead on there, I try to put the wire into the bead, and that kind of secures it a little bit, but it may even have, as the bead rattles around hitting the metal, give a little bit of a noise, and who knows, maybe that sounds like an insect.
It's your version of the rattlehead.
Yep, that's my rattlehead. So just come on down. The olive thread is most of the body for the abdomen. Bring that down, and we'll just wrap the wire, which will give that ribbing and segmented effect of the abdomen. And even though this part of the wire isn't going to be showing, I'll continue wrapping it up right behind the bead. Kind of prevents the bead from moving, and again, you're putting on a little bit of weight, but nothing all that significant. Most of the flies that work well for me are usually pretty simple to tie, which is not a bad thing. But okay, the next material that I use, this is from those nasty Canadian geese. This feather fell off in one of the parking lots, and I picked it up.
Fell off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was convinced to fall off, and in one of the parking lots, I picked it up. But geese as a wing case material is excellent. It's very strong, and it's very pliable, which are the two things that you want in a material for wing case. And let's see.
Is that sprayed?
No, not at all. And you tie it in at the soft end, not the, broad end where it's attached. It just works out very well. And what I noticed when I first started tying these flies, if I make the wing case where I think it's going to be, it always ends up too small. So by that, I make the thorax of the fly a little larger than I would intend. And then when I bring this wing case over, I don't pull it as taut as I'd want, otherwise it just seems to disappear, especially on these smaller flies. So what I'm saying to you is that I'm just accentuating everything, and then it kind of works out in the wash when it's finally done. This is just a Hair's Ear Plus, and what I'm using is the dark olive for the Thorax. The Hair's Ear Plus is essentially Hair's Ear with the Z-Line or acrylic woven in it. The acrylic gives it a little bit of sparkle and a little bit of bugginess to it when you tie it out. You build up the thorax. We have a prominent thorax, and again, this is going to be compressed by the wing case. So you want it a little larger than you intend, but it will get, become smaller once the wing case is in place. So you place the wing case over there. You don't pull it too taut, or it just seems to disappear on you. You just gently place it over there, bringing your thread behind the bead. The nice thing about beads is it's almost impossible to crowd the eye when you tie your materials, because the bead's in the way, which is a plus. And you should always whip finish behind the bead, not in front of the bead, unless, of course, you want to hide the bead. There are patterns that you don't want the bead present. You're using the bead mainly for weight.
You make it like a thorax.
Yeah. So unless you're doing that, you should always whip finish behind the bead, trim off the excess material. Now here's where you could put a little bit of pressure to, secure it. Again, my trusty little whip finisher works nicely in these spots. Take 4 reps of that. And another 4 reps. And pretty much done. If you want, you could stroke your dubbing down to give the impression of little legs. But that's pretty much the whole deal. And under the 10-minute mark, right? There you go. There it is.
WD-40.
WD-40, very simple fly, but a very effective fly. You can see how the wood duck tail, shows up as a tail.
Yep.
It doesn't disappear.